Without making a sound, the grief arrived between the morning and the afternoon. It didn't knock or ask for any welcome. It simply filled the room like afternoon. There was no resisting what was soundless, no way to argue with what made no noise. Without making a sound, it found the middle, the place where all the careful guarding lies. Everything I thought was safely sheltered released itself to what the silence gives. I used to think that grief required announcement, that loss arrived with something to declare. But this came like the winter light at evening, too quiet and too certain to prepare. And the quiet of it was the most complete of all the ways that feeling finds its home. Without making a sound, it changed me fully, more thoroughly than anything with noise. And I received the quiet transformation with something that resembled poise. It seeps through the ordinary without warning, through the coffee and the window and the light. And everything that seemed completely normal becomes a carrier of something not quite right. Seeping through the ordinary is how it travels. The grief that has no spectacular to show. It finds the gaps between the unremarkable and fills them with what only grief can know. Tried to seal the ordinary against it, to keep the daily separate from the ache. But ordinary things are poor at borders, and grief is very patient for its sake. And now I've stopped the sealing and the guarding, the ordinary hold it all, because the grief that seeps through the ordinary is just the love that answers when you call. Seeping through the ordinary, every receive it in the unremarkable, with quiet and with grateful open eyes. The choir remembers what the noise forgets. It holds the particular and keeps it whole. And I have found that sitting in the silence returns me to the most essential role. The quiet that remembers doesn't judge it, doesn't ask the memory to be less. It simply holds the whole of what was given and offers it back without the need to confess. What the quiet keeps, and I have learned to visit the silence more, because the quiet that remembers has been storing everything I thought had gone before. The quiet that remembers is my archive, the most faithful keeper of what was real. And every time I sit inside the silence, it gives me back exactly what I feel.
Comes the way rain comes before you notice. The air shifts first and then the first drop lands, and by the time you've registered the rain in, the rain has already made its quiet plans. It comes the way rain comes without announcement, the grief that doesn't call ahead or not. And I have learned to recognize the shifting, the particular stillness before the clock. Comes like this is not unwelcome. It only asks that I remain inside and let the quiet of the raining do its softening until the grief has found its proper tide. After comes the particular freshness that only grief that's rain can leave behind. The cleared and open quality of morning that follows what the rain had come to find. It comes the way rain comes, and I receive it with the patience that the season learned to give. Because the rain that comes like grief comes quietly is simply how the deepest feelings live.
Softly as the light moves through the afternoon, the missing finds its way into the room. Not rushing and not loud and not dramatic, just steady as the light moves through the bloom. And by the time I notice it has entered, it has already made itself at home. Softly as the light moves, it keeps finding the corners and the edges and the in-between. And everything the light touches in the moving reveals what only softness keeps unseen. I used to draw the curtains against the softness, afraid of what the gentle light would show. But everything the soft light finds is worthy, and nothing that it touches needs to go. And now I leave the curtains open wider and let the light and the missing both come through. Softly as the light moves, I receive it, the grief that comes on slow and golden feet. And everything the softness brings to surface is exactly what I needed to complete. between the notes is where you always lived. In the particular silence between the sounds. And I've learned to listen for the spaces where the music lets your memory be found. Between the notes I hear you most completely, more clearly than the melody itself. And everything the music holds between its notes is you exactly as you always felt. The notes themselves are beautiful enough, but the space between them carries something more. And I've made a practice of the listening for what the silence holds behind the door. And between the notes the grief becomes a conversation, a back and forth that music understands. Because the space between the notes was always waiting to hold what only silence can withstand. Because the love that lives between the music is the love that in the silence still resides.
The grief finds its level the way water does, without the forcing and without the will. It simply seeks the lowest patient place, and there it settles quietly and still. The way water finds its level, grief finds mine. The place where it can rest without the fight. And I have stopped resisting the descending, and let the grief find where it needs to alight. At the level grief has found in me, there is a stillness I had not expected, a quality of settled and of knowing comes when nothing is deflected. The way water finds its level, I have found mine. The depth at which the grief becomes the ground. And I have built my living on the level that only grief's own patient work has found.
Arriving without asking is how love comes, and how the grief that follows love arrives. Neither one announces at the threshold, neither one requires that someone contrives. Arriving without asking, it finds the middle of whatever ordinary I was in. And I have stopped acquiring the announcement and learned to let the arriving just begin. The best things in a life arrive this way, uninvited and entirely unplanned. And I have found arriving without asking is the most complete and honest contraband. And so I keep the doors of the ordinary open, not knowing what the next arriving brings, because the love and grief that come without the asking are the ones that give the most essential things. Arriving without asking every morning, the love and loss together at the door, and I receive the both of them with open hands, grateful for the arriving evermore. Slow as seasons turn, the grief has shifted, not disappeared, but altered in its way. And I have found the slow shift more convincing than any sudden change could demonstrate. And slow is how the truest changes happen, below the surface where the roots take hold. Slow as seasons turn, the love keeps changing into something that the seasons understand. I used to want the grief to move more quickly, to get to the resolved and the repaired. But slow as seasons turn has taught me patience for the grief that only slowly can be shared. And the slowness is the gift the seasons offer to everything that needs the time to grow. Slow as seasons turn, I find the changing, the grief becoming something I can wear. And every season's turning brings it closer to the love that always was and will be there.
The tide goes out the way all tides go out, but this one always finds its way returning. And I have learned to read the tide of missing without the need to ask about its turning. The tide that never leaves is always somewhere, even when the shore looks clear and dry. And I have made my peace with the returning and stopped demanding the tides say goodbye. The tide that never leaves has shaped the shoreline, has carved the particular coast I've become. And I am grateful for the constant shaping of the tide that never settled and stayed numb. And the shaping is the gift the tide is giving, in every going out and coming back. Because the coast that grieves tide carves completely is the most authentic coast there is intact. The tide that never leaves is the most faithful, the most consistent presence I have known. And I receive the coming and the going as the rhythm that has made this shore my home.
when the light is neither day nor evening yet, in the particular softness of the in-between, where nothing has arrived and nothing's left. Finding you in the fade is where I live now, in the gentle and uncertain middle ground, and everything the fading holds between the colors is where you are most completely found. The fully lit is to expose for finding, the full dark is too absolute to see. But in the fade between the light and darkness, you appear exactly as you used to be. Finding you in the fade, I am most grateful for the daily gift of afternoon's descent, because the fade between the light and dark is where the love and grief most naturally are meant. Underneath the noise I kept for years of reasons, the grief had been conducting its own work, not asking for acknowledgement or witness, just quietly performing in the murk. Underneath the noise I kept the feeling was doing everything it needed to, and all the noise I generated over it was only ever slowing what it knew. And when I finally let the noise go quiet, I found the feeling finished most of it. The grief had done its patient work already, and what remained was something that could sit. And so I've stopped the generating of the noise, the busyness that covered what was real, because underneath the noise the grief was working, and working is the only way to feel. Underneath the noise I kept was something worthy, the grief that worked through everything I gave, and I received the quiet that remains now.
Gently as it came, the love is going. Not with drama, not with a scene, just the gentle and the gradual releasing of everything the loving used to mean. And gentle is the only way that real love goes. It earned the gentleness it takes to leave. Gently as it came, it finds its ending, the same soft entrance and the same soft door. And I receive the going with the same openness I gave the coming when it came before. The love that came in gently earned a gentle going, and I have tried to match its quality, because the love deserves the same soft handling in its leaving as it gave to me. And the gentleness of letting is the final gift that love can offer and receive. Gently as it came, I hold the going with the same soft hands the coming filled. And everything the gentle going carries is the love itself completely still.
Without making a sound, the grief arrived between the morning and the afternoon. It didn't knock or ask for any welcome. It simply filled the room like afternoon. There was no resisting what was soundless, no way to argue with what made no noise. Without making a sound, it found the middle, the place where all the careful guarding lies. Everything I thought was safely sheltered released itself to what the silence gives. I used to think that grief required announcement, that loss arrived with something to declare. But this came like the winter light at evening, too quiet and too certain to prepare. And the quiet of it was the most complete of all the ways that feeling finds its home. Without making a sound, it changed seeps through the ordinary without warning, through the coffee and the window and the light, and everything that seemed completely normal becomes a carrier of something not quite right. Seeping through the ordinary is how it travels, the grief that has no spectacular to show. It finds the gaps between the unremarkable and fills them with what only grief can know. Separate from the ache, but ordinary things are poor at borders, and grief is very patient for its sake. And now I've stopped the ceiling and the guarding, and let the ordinary hold it all, because the grief that seeps through the ordinary is just the love that answers when you call. Seeping through the ordinary every morning, the love that grief carries in disguise, and I receive it in the unremarkable, with quiet and with grateful open eyes. The choir remembers what the noise forgets. It holds the particular and keeps it whole. And I have found that sitting in the silence returns me to the most essential role. The quiet that remembers doesn't judge it, doesn't ask the memory to be less. It simply holds the whole of what was given and offers it back without the need to confess. What the quiet keeps, and I have learned to visit the silence more, because the quiet that remembers has been storing everything I thought had gone before. The quiet that remembers is my archive, the most faithful keeper of what was real. And every time I sit inside the silence, it gives me back exactly what I feel.
comes the way rain comes before you notice. The air shifts first and then the first drop lands. And by the time you've registered the rain in, the rain has already made its quiet plans. It comes the way rain comes without announcement. The grief that doesn't call ahead or not. And I have learned to recognize the shifting, the particular stillness before the clock. Comes like this is not unwelcome. It only asks that I remain inside and let the quiet of the raining do its softening until the grief has found its proper tide. After comes the particular freshness that only grief that's rain can leave behind. The cleared and open quality of morning that follows what the rain had come to find. It comes the way rain comes and I receive it with the patience that the season learned to give. Because the rain that comes like grief comes quietly is simply how the deepest feelings live.
Softly as the light moves through the afternoon, the missing finds its way into the room. Not rushing and not loud and not dramatic, just steady as the light moves through the bloom. And by the time I notice it has entered, it has already made itself at home. Softly as the light moves, it keeps finding the corners and the edges and the in-between, and everything the light touches in the moving reveals what only softness keeps unseen. used to draw the curtains against the softness, afraid of what the gentle light would show. But everything the soft light finds is worthy, and nothing that it touches needs to go. And now I leave the curtains open wider and let the light and the missing both come through. Softly as the light moves, I receive it, the grief that comes on slow and golden feet, and everything the softness brings to surface is exactly what I needed to complete. Between the notes is where you always lived, in the particular silence between the sound. And I've learned to listen for the spaces where the music lets your memory be found. Between the notes I hear you most completely, more clearly than the melody itself. And everything the music holds between its notes is you exactly as you always felt. Themselves are beautiful enough, but the space between them carries something more. And I've made a practice of the listening for what the silence holds behind the door. And between the notes the grief becomes a conversation, a back and forth that music understands, because the space between the notes was always waiting to hold what only silence can withstand. Because the love that lives between the music is the love that in the silence still resides.
The grief finds its level the way water does, without the forcing and without the will. It simply seeks the lowest patient place, and there it settles quietly and still. The way water finds its level, grief finds mine. The place where it can rest without the fight. And I have stopped resisting the descending, and let the grief find where it needs to alight. At the level grief has found in me, there is a stillness I had not expected, a quality of settled and of knowing that only comes when nothing is deflected. The way water finds its level, I have found mine. The depth at which the grief becomes the ground. And I have built my living on the level that only grief's own patient work has found.
Arriving without asking is how love comes, and how the grief that follows love arrives. Neither one announces at the threshold, neither one requires that someone contrives. Arriving without asking, it finds the middle of whatever ordinary I was in. And I have stopped acquiring the announcement and learned to let the arriving just begin. The best things in a life arrive this way, uninvited and entirely unplanned. And I have found arriving without asking is the most complete and honest contraband. And so I keep the doors of the ordinary open, not knowing what the next arriving brings, because the love and grief that come without the asking are the ones that give the most essential things. arriving without asking every morning, the love and lost together at the door, and I receive the both of them with open hands, grateful for the arriving evermore. Slow as seasons turn, the grief has shifted, not disappeared, but altered in its way. And I have found the slow shift more convincing than any sudden change could demonstrate. And slow is how the truest changes happen, below the surface where the roots take hold. Slow as seasons turn, the love keeps changing into something that the seasons understand. And every turn has brought a different knowing of the love that time has taken by the hand. I used to want the grief to move more quickly, to get to the resolve and the repair. But slow as seasons turn has taught me patience for the grief that only slowly can be shared. And the slowness is the gift the seasons offer to everything that needs the time to grow. Slow as seasons turn, I find the changing, the grief becoming something I can wear. And every season's turning brings it closer to the love that always was and will be there.
The tide goes out the way all tides go out, but this one always finds its way returning. And I have learned to read the tide of missing without the need to ask about its turning. The tide that never leaves is always somewhere, even when the shore looks clear and dry. And I have made my peace with the returning and stopped demanding the tides say goodbye. The tide that never leaves has shaped the shoreline, has carved the particular coast I've become. And I am grateful for the constant shaping of the tide that never settled and stayed numb. And the shaping is the gift the tide is giving, in every going out and coming back. Because the coast that grieves tide carves completely is the most authentic coast there is intact. The tide that never leaves is the most faithful, the most consistent presence I have known. And I receive the coming and the going as the rhythm that has made this shore my home.
Find you in the fading of the afternoon, when the light is neither day nor evening yet, in the particular softness of the in-between, where nothing has arrived and nothing's left. Finding you in the fade is the gentle and uncertain middle ground, and everything the fading holds between the colors is where you are most completely found. The fully lit is too exposed for finding, the full dark is too absolute to see. But in the fade between the light and darkness, you appear exactly as you used to be. Finding you in the fade, I am most grateful for the daily gift of afternoon's descent, because the fade between the light and dark is where the love and grief most naturally are meant. Underneath the noise I kept for years of reasons, the grief had been conducting its own work, not asking for acknowledgement or witness, just quietly performing in the murk. Underneath the noise I kept the feeling was doing everything it needed to, and all the noise I generated over it was only ever slowing what it knew. And when I finally let the noise go quiet, I found the feeling finished most of it. The grief had done its patient work already, and what remained was something that could sit. And so I've stopped the generating of the noise, the busyness that covered what was real, because underneath the noise the grief was working, and working is the only way to feel. Underneath the noise I kept was something worthy, the grief that worked through everything I gave, and I received the quiet that remains now, as everything the working grief has saved.
Gently as it came, the love is going, not with drama, not with a scene, just the gentle and the gradual releasing of everything the loving used to mean. And gentle is the only way that real love goes. It earned the gentleness it takes to leave. Gently as it came, it finds its ending, the same soft entrance and the same soft door. And I receive the going with the same openness I gave the coming when it came before. The love that came in gently earned a gentle going, and I have tried to match its quality, because the love deserves the same soft handling in its leaving as it gave to me. And the gentleness of letting is the final gift that love can offer and receive. Gently as it came, I hold the going with the same soft hands the coming filled, and everything the gentle going carries Is the love itself completely still?